A can of regular Coke will sink to the bottom of water, while a can of Diet Coke will float. The amount of water on Earth is constant. However, a billion years from now, the sun will be 10% brighter, increasing the heat, causing Earth to lose all of its water. George Lucas wanted the role of Mace Windu to originally go to Tupac. However, he died before he could give an audition, and the role went to Samuel L. Jackson instead. Many murder cases in Japan are declared suicides in order for police officers to save face and to keep crime statistics low. Cherries contain two compounds inhibiting tumor growth and even cause cancer cells to self-destruct without damaging healthy cells. Sweden recycles so well that it actually has to import garbage from Norway in order to fuel its waste to power energy plants. Before the 17th century, carrots were purple until a mutation changed the colors to what we know now. There's a mattress invented for cuddling that has a place to put your arm while you cuddle. There is a metal called gallium that melts in your hand. There's an artist named Scott Wade who is famous for creating dust art on dirty cars using only his fingers and a brush. You would lose a third of your body weight on Mars due to lower gravity. There is currently 147 million ounces of gold in Fort Knox. At the price of about $1,776 per ounce, that's worth $261.6 billion. The traffic in London is as slow as the carriages from a century ago. The crime rate in Iceland is so low that the police there don't carry guns. The companies Audi, Bentley, Bugatti, Ducati, Lamborghini, and Porsche are all owned by Volkswagen. Jellyfish and lobsters are biologically immortal. The oldest hotel in the world is the Nishiyama Onsen Kankan in Japan. It was founded in 705 AD and has had 52 generations of the same family operating it since it was founded. In Finland, there is a giant rock named Kamakivi that is sitting perfectly on a seemingly curved mound. The name translates to strange rock since nobody knows how it got there. In the early years of the 20th century, horses were causing so much pollution with their poop that automobiles were seen as the green alternative. The pollution in China is so bad in some parts that just being in that area for one day is the equivalent of smoking 21 cigarettes. There's a resort in Japan called the Tomemu Resort that's located on top of a mountain peak that allows patrons to view a sea of fluffy white clouds beneath them. The electric chair to execute people was created by a dentist. Ruth Wakefield, who invented the chocolate chip cookie around 1938, sold the idea to Nestle Toll House in exchange for a lifetime supply of chocolate. In 1998, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the founders of Google, offered to sell their little startup to Alta Vista for $1 million so they could resume their studies at Stanford. They were rejected and grew the empire to $101 billion as of 2019 instead. Ancient Rome was 8 times more densely populated than modern New York. In 1995, NASA scientists experimented on spiders to see how drugs like LSD, marijuana, caffeine, and peyote would affect them. The results showed that spiders would spin webs differently depending on the type of drug that they were given. The more toxic the drug, the less organized their webs were. The hardest bone in the human body is the jawbone, also known as the mandible. It's also the largest and strongest bone in the human face. Mexican shamans began to use Coca-Cola in their religious rituals to heal worshippers. When Pepsi discovered this, they offered commissions to shamans for using Pepsi instead. Pixar spent 3 years studying the physics of curly hair in order to correctly render Merita's hair in Brave. Christopher Robin Milne, the son of Winnie the Pooh author A.M. Milne, and the person who the character Christopher Robin was based off of, actually hated the books his father wrote and thought it was his father's way of exploiting childhood. On D-Day, at least 500 canvas dummies were dropped away from the Normandy beaches to distract from actual drop zones. The dummies, called Ruperts, were just under 3 feet tall, came with battle sounds, and were made to self-destruct upon landing so that the Germans couldn't find them. Your fingernails grow faster when you are cold. The highest temperature ever recorded in Canada, 45 OC, is higher than any temperature ever recorded in either Brazil or Thailand. Upon landing in England, William the Conqueror slipped and fell. To play it cool, he grasped 2 fistfuls of soil and proclaimed, "England is ours." Zdeno Tra, the 6'9" tall captain of the Boston Bruins, speaks 7 different languages, has a financial planning diploma from Algonquin College, and holds a license allowing him to sell real estate in the state of Massachusetts. Before Saladin died in 1193, he had given away all his wealth to his poor subjects. His estate consisted of 1 piece of gold and 40 pieces of silver, not enough to pay for his funeral. Due to the gender imbalance, by the year 2020, 24 million Chinese men will be unable to find a spouse. Russians have a word zapoi to describe several days of continuous drunkenness during which one withdraws from society. Until 1974, banks could and usually would refuse to issue a credit card to a woman unless she was married and her husband co-signed for the card. A divorced woman was considered too much of a risk because she couldn't keep a marriage under control. There is a lake in the country of Palau Pacific Islands where jellyfishes have evolved without stingers. This happened after the lake's connection to the sea closed, leaving them isolated from their natural predators. These golden jellyfish are totally harmless to humans and you can swim with them. In April 2013, someone hacked the Associated Press's Twitter account and tweeted that 2 bombs had exploded at the White House. The stock market crashed within seconds, only to recover the same day once the tweet was discovered to be a hoax. England built an underground city in the 1950s to house 4,000 key government employees in case of a nuclear strike, complete with 60 miles of roadways, an underground lake to provide fresh water and a railway to transport the royal family. It was not revealed to the public until 2004. Peacock feathers are actually brown, but have microscopic structures that interfere with light that make the bright iridescence. African spiny mice can shed up to 60% of the skin on their backs to escape predators. They then regrow hair follicles, skin, sweat glands, and fur instead of scar tissue. It is speculated that we could switch this mechanism on in humans. According to an article published in 1918, pink was for boys because it is a stronger color, while the delicate blue was reserved for girls. Arthur Guinness was an exceptional individual who used the money he made from brewing to help relief of the poor, abolish dueling, promote literacy, and provided his workers with a higher standard of living. The CIA secretly pumped funds into abstract expressionists, such as Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko, in an attempt to make popular American freedom and expression art in contrast to rigid Soviet art. The first British spy known as 007 was Dr. John Dee, in 1560. Queen Elizabeth called him "my eyes." There is a sea snail that wears a suit of iron-plated armor. It is the only known animal to use iron sulfide as skeletal material. Schizophrenia affects about 1 out of every 100 people. It is estimated that there are 60 trillion synapses in the cerebral cortex. Another word for sneezing is sternutation. The ancient Roman goddess of wisdom and war is named Minerva, supposedly was born when she leaped from Jupiter's brain, completely grown and dressed in armor. Neuroanatomist Santiago Ramon y Cajal 1906 Nobel Prize winner worked as a barber's apprentice and a shoemaker before his career in neuroscience. Some snails can sleep for 3 years.